everybody, welcome to this wonderful reading. I'm so young, welcome. So basically in this reading for May 17th to June 1st of 2025. This reading is going to be for whoever's going to be watching this video, and when it does, you have to understand about how everything is going to be. This can be a play-by-play situation, whether you have your own reasons and your own commitments and your own ways about understanding, because you know why it's a way of how you can understand where you can believe it in order to achieve it, in order to do something, right? And whenever things to be in that perspective, you think, all right, well, I got this, I know what to do. But then when you are in a committed relationship, whether if you're a long-term relationship or a short-term relationship, it doesn't really matter that whatever it is, right? That's how it seems to be. But the point being is that whenever you get your own mindset, your own ways about knowing what to do, you have to be pro along with everything else, right? You do what it takes. You do how you can do it. But then this is the way it goes. And you're thinking, well, this is interesting. I'm going to do that. That's how it is. Because you have to understand that there are ways that you need to understand. And there are things that you must learn. Because there is a good saying is, you have to learn something first, right? That's how it is, right? And when you do that, you have to basically know about what's going on. It's a way of how it is. And when you feel like something is going wrong into a long relationship or a short-term relationship or whatever, and you think that, oh, well, it's going to be, 3 years is going to be wasted, whatever it is, it doesn't seem to be like that. You have to understand about how you can be committed to your partner, or whether you deserve about how you can be treated fairly, rather than being treated about unfairly. This is why it seems to be that, right? And this is the way it seems to be. You have to understand about your own lengths of experience. That's why it seems to be. When you are acting, whether you're being, how it is in your own ways, you have to be who you are. You have to understand about how you can understand about how it seems to be. You have to believe about everything is going to be all right. But then you're thinking, well, this is not, you have to understand. But the way of how this is, the way how you can be committed about what's going on, this is the way it seems to be. So this is what's going to be in this whole entire tarot card reading, and I hope you enjoy it, because this is the way it seems to be. And whether it seems to be good or bad, you have to pay attention to it. And I'm going to explain the reasons why. If you're in a long-term relationship or a short-term relationship, it doesn't matter. But you have to pay attention of what's going on, right? That's how it seems to be. So you have to either do exactly what it takes, and you have to do exactly what you're told to do, and you have to do exactly what it seems to be, right? So this oracle card says relationships. I'm attracted to those people who serve my higher good. When you're in relationships, you stick with them, right? You stick about having relationships between, whether if you are a man and woman situation. When you're in relationships, you stick to that. You stick to the way of how it goes. You're going to be committed, and that's the way it goes. But this is the way it seems to be between how it is in that way, in this whole entire format. When you're in relationships, you be committed. That's the way it goes. You can't be back off or whatever it is, but you have to understand about how it seems to be, whether if you're feeling good or bad. But you have to have your own sensitivity to know from your right in your own perspective. That's why it seems to be, right? So let's see what's going on. Let's see. so let's see what's going on here. So let's see. So let's start off here, okay? So we have the King of Pentacles is upright because there's security, there's lots of wealth, there's lots of things that are going on. The Eight Wands does represent the Leo, Aries, Sagittarius. The King of Pentacles represents Virgo, Capricorn, Taurus. But there are things that you must learn first in order to do that. Because when you have the Eight Wands, you have speed. You do what you can, you do what it takes. But then, this is the way of how it is. This is like how you can be your own ways about how you can do it in one way or another. And you have to do exactly what you're told to do. You have to be responsible about how you're feeling, how you're acting, how you can be certified about what's going on in that way, right? So you're thinking about how it is in one way or another. So this is how it's going to be, and this is the way it seems to be. So I'm going to go and clarify. So I love the word clarify, and what it means is that I'm going to clarify the way of how this is going to be. So I'm going to go from the Tower all the way to the Nine Pentacles, and then I'm going to go how it is. Okay, so see the Two of Wands reversed, followed by the Sun reversed, followed by the Eight of Pentacles is upright, followed by the Queen of Swords reversed, followed by the Page of Wands is upright. Yeah, because you could be dealing with another Leo, Aries, Sagittarius. You are in negativity. That's the way it goes because you're feeling all negative, and you're trying to get what you want, and things are not going as planned, and you're thinking, well, this is how it's going to be. This is the way it seems to be. And when you are committed with relationships or whatever it is, it's like you're trying to figure out what's going on in that way, right? You're trying to figure out, well, if you're in a relationship, it doesn't matter if you're having a relationship with a disability person, or whether you're having all these things are going away. That's how it is. You have to have your own moment of time. You have to believe that whether you focus about more of your career, you have to focus on that. That's why it seems to be that. And when you do that, that's the way it seems to be. That's how it goes, because you have to believe that everything seems to be fine, but then it's like, well, should I take this? Should I do exactly what I need to be? I need to be responsible, because that's how it seems to be in that way. You have to be how it is in that way, right? So what's this Four of Wands about to this King of Pentacles? The Fortune is upright, followed by the Four of Wands is upright, followed by the Death card is upright, followed by the King of Cups is upright, followed by the Ten of Wands reversed, and then you have the Judgment is upright. So you're going to take action. You have action, support, you have endings, you basically have excitement, or you're maybe going to a wedding, but then you have good luck on your side. You're thinking, well, this is the way it seems to be. This is the way of how it is. You're trying to understand about how you can understand in one or another, and you're thinking, well, everything seems to be fine. But then how you can do it, how you can be having your own, being modest about knowing what to do, right? You have your own, how you can do it in one or another, and you have to feel your own vibrations, or you feel like how you can do it, right? If you be committed, you have to know what it takes, because that's the way it seems to be. You're trying to understand about what's going on in that situation, whether you like it or not, right? You have to impose the situation, whether you do it exactly how you can do it, and that's how it seems to be in that way. That's how you can go with the flow. That's why it seems to be that. What's this Magician to this Eight Wands here? The Star is upright, followed the Five of Swords reversed, followed the Knight of Swords is upright, followed the High Priestess is upright, followed by the Two of Cups reversed, followed by the Four of Cups is upright. So, when the Two of Cups reversed, you basically telling me that you're not in relationships or friendships, but there was something that was happening in that way. The Four of Cups up, right, because you want to have distractions, because you want to pay attention about what's going on in that situation. The Knight of Swords is upright because it does present drama in this situation. The High Priest is upright because you want to use your inner voice. The Star is upright, there's inspiration because you're wishing upon something, because you're trying to figure out about how you can do it in one or another. You're trying to impose what you're looking for. So you can be dealing with generally Leo Aquarius, you could deal with Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. You can deal with Leo, Aries, Sagittarius. Like, there are things that you need to learn, and you need to have that ability from the right and wrong perspective. That's why it seems to be that you need to impose about what you're looking for in that way. You're thinking, well, I want to do this, I want to reflect, I want to do things, and that's how it is. Because in one or another, you're thinking, well, this is the way it seems to be, and this is the way it kind of goes, right? So you have to understand, but what I'm saying is, because that's the way it goes. So I'm going to go from the middle to the left, middle to the right. So High Priest is upright, followed the Six of Wands reversed, followed the King of Cups is upright, followed the Eight of Cups is upright. Yeah, because you want to be an entertainer, you want to have support, you want to use your inner voice. You do what it takes, because that's the way it kind of goes in one or another, right? You're trying to do exactly how it is in one or another, and you're thinking, well, this is the scene to be. So you could be dealing with another Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. That's how it is, and you have to pay attention to that. What's in between the Wheel of Fortune and the Star? The Six of Pentacles is upright, yeah, because you want kindness. Yeah, because you want to be kind, you want to be how you are, because that's the way it goes. You need to be how you can be committed, whether you like the person or not, but it all depends on your point of view. That's why it seems to be that. And when you have to do that, you have to do exactly how it takes, whether you like it or not, but then you have to feel the whole entire situation upon you. That's the way it goes, right? That's how it seems to be in that way. What's happening between the middle and right side, please? Nine of Wands is upright, followed the Queen of Wands is upright, followed the Seven of Cups reversed, followed by the Ace of Cups is upright. Yeah, so it does represent where you want to have your own, romance situation. You want to have the ability from that perspective. The Seven of Cups reversed, there's no delusion here. That's the way it goes. The Queen of Wands represents charisma, because there's lots of things that are going on here. And Nine of Wands is upright because there's fear. Because you're fearing that you might lose the relationship, you might not, but it all depends about what's going on in that way, because that's the way it seems to be. So what's in the middle? The Hierophant is upright, yeah, because it means that you want to have your own guidance, because you're paying attention to it. That's why when you have guidance, you know how it is, and one or another, you need to be who you are and thinking, okay, well, this is the way it seems to be, I know what to do. But then that's the way it kind of goes. You have to feel it from that perspective. That's the way it seems to be. What's happening between the middle and the left side? You have Fortune reversed, followed by Hierophant is upright, followed by the Hermit reversed, followed by Justice upright. Yeah, because you want to take action, because you already found a soulmate, and you have guidance. That's the way it goes. You have bad luck because things are not going as planned, and whether you enjoy it, you have to do exactly what it takes, because that's the way it goes. You're trying to compare who you are to someone else, whether if they have a disability or not. But it all depends about what's going on in that situation. You have to do exactly what you want them to do, but basically it's like you're basically telling them to be mean or be rude or be disrespectful or whatever it is, because it hurts. It hurts their discrimination, right? That's why it seems to be. And when they get discriminated, it's basically scrutiny, and hostile, and lots of things, right? So you have to understand about what's going on in that situation, whether it seems to be in that perspective. Works out between the middle and the right side, please. The justice reversed, the lovers reversed, the star is upright, the strength card is upright, the hangman reversed, the temperance reversed, but the world is upright. And because you want to have completion, you want to have strength, you want to have inspiration, but then here's the thing. If you have the justice on the left side, you're telling the truth. If you have the justice reversed, you're making a lie. You know, that's the way it goes, right? That's why when things need to be committed in relationships, you stick with them. You stick about who you are with, you know. It doesn't mean about cheating on that person or whatever it is, or making a bold move or whatever it is. It seems to be that, right? You have to understand about how it seems to be, whether you like it or not. You have to do exactly how it is, right? Because that's why it seems to be that. What's happening between this strength card, this justice card, I mean. The Tower reversed, followed the High Priestess reversed, followed by the Sun reversed. Yeah, because now when you are in a committed relationship and you are in negativity, it's like when someone's basically being mean or rude, it basically how it was. Because you're thinking, well, this is how it seems to be. I don't know how to take this in my own reality. You know, you're trying to figure out about how you can do it in the way of how it is. You need to be who you are. You have to do what it takes, because that's how it seems to be. So let me see what's going on between the middle, and I'm going to clarify that. So yeah, the Two of Pentacles reversed. So this is going to be an imbalanced. So this is why it's going to be imbalanced, because now you're thinking, why is it imbalanced? Because let me try to tell you something. When you have unbalanced, everything is not balancing, right? So when someone else is telling the truth, you do that. If someone's telling a lie, you know, there are two things as well, right? So you have to understand about what's going on in that way, because this is the way it seems to be, right? That's why it's like you're trying to figure out what's going on in that way about what's going on. So let me clarify between the middle and the left side, please. The Emperor is upright, followed by the Three of Pentacles is upright, followed by the Knight of Swords reversed, followed by the Five of Wands reversed, followed by the Chariot reversed, followed by the Ten of Swords reversed, followed by the Hermit is upright. Yeah, because you want to have solitude, or where you're looking for a soulmate, you know, because when you do that ability from the right or wrong perspective, you do what it takes, right? You're thinking, well, you know, if I'm staying with this relationship, I know what it is, but that's how it goes, right? And when you're looking for another soulmate, or when you're trying to do what it is, you're trying to figure out what's going on in that situation, right? That's how it seems to be in that way. You need to figure out what's going on in that way, whether you like the disability person or not. It all depends about your point of view. That's why it seems to be that. You pay attention to that. Because, you know, it's like you're trying to figure out what's going on in that way. What's happening between the middle and the right side, please? The Ten of Pentacles is upright, the Strength card reversed, the World reversed, the Fool reversed, the Nine of Swords reversed, Queen of Cups reversed, Two of Wands is upright. So it means that when you're following your career, you have, basically you're going to plan on something, that's the way it goes. But when you have the Strength card reversed, you're not being brave, you're being scared, you know? And when you have the World reversed, there is incomplete, right? Everything is incompleted. And when that's the way it can seem to be in that perspective. That's why it seems to be that. And when that is how it is, you have to feel who, you know, in the situations, whether you like it or not. But then it's like how you can impose about the situation, whether you do exactly what it takes in that way. You're comparing two things at once, you know. You're comparing one person to another person, or whatever it is, right? If one person has a disability, you pay attention to that person. If you aren't the person who has a disability, you try to pay attention to that as well, right? So you have to figure out what's going on that way, whether you depend about your own point of view, your own way, and figure it out. That's why it seems to be that. So let me try to clarify between the strength card and the world. The sun card is upright. Yeah. So there is positivity here. When you're trying to stay positive, you're trying to stay positive as much as you can. If you're committed about relationships between based on short term, long term, it doesn't matter. You have to pay attention to it, because once you're in love with somebody and you pay attention on what their motives are and what's going on, you have to understand that, right? That's why it seems to be that. And when it's very interesting, you have to do exactly what it takes, because you have to do what you're going to be doing. It's like you're trying to figure out what's going on in that way. So let's see what's going on with this universe. So that's between the middle and the left side, middle to the right. The Empress is upright, followed with the Five of Swords reversed, followed with the the Five of Wands reversed. The Lovers is upright. The Queen of Pentacles reversed, followed with the Two of Cups is upright. Yeah, so basically what it means is that between on the left side, you have nourishment, you have decisions, and you have relationships. You have that ability from knowing what's going on in that way. If you're focusing about what's going on in that way, whether you're focusing about a woman, if you're focusing on what's going on, you do what it takes. Because you have to know what's going on in that way, and you're thinking, well, this is the way it seems to be, I know what it does, but that's how it is. That's why it seems to be that in that way you're trying to figure out, okay, well, I know what to do, I got this, but then how you understand about what's going on that way. You have to focus about, you enjoy it or you're not, or whatever it is, but then you have to understand about what's happening in that way, right? You have to feel it in that perspective of having your own decisions or having relationships, whatever it is, because that's the way it goes. If you're committed to be in a relationship and you don't understand about a disability person, or whether you're trying to be and you're trying to be in love with a disability person, whatever it is, you're trying to make that person to be vulnerable or taken advantage of or being used or being mistreated right, whatever it is, you have to pay attention about what's going on through the disability person's emotions or their feelings. That's why it seems to be that. And when you are in committed relationships, whether if it's short term or long term, you stick to the point. You stick about what's going on in that situation, whether it is good or bad. But that's how it seems to be. What's between the middle and the right side? The Page of Pentacles here, there's no prospects. The Wheel of Fortune here, you're having bad luck. The Knight of Pentacles here, there's no trust. The Seven of Pentacles here, there's no career. The Judgment reverse, you're not taking action. The Queen of Cups here, there's no empathy. The Three of Pentacles here, there's no excitement. Three of Cups is upright, there's celebrations. Yeah, because that's the way it goes. When you are being celebrated in relationships, you do exactly how you're going to be. You're trying to have your own celebration because you're going to be celebrating on something. Or you're thinking that everything's fine, everything's fine, but it's not fine. It's like how it's going to be that in one way or another, right? It's the way of how you can impose about what's happening between positivity, negativity, whatever it is. But it all depends about how the relationship is going between a short term and long term. It all depends about what's going on in that situation, and you do exactly what it takes. That's why it seems to be that. What's in the middle? So you have the Nine of Swords here, there's no trauma, but the Knight of Wands is over, there's immaturity. Yeah, so when it seems to be that, whether you're trying to have that majority of doing what it takes, you have to understand that. You have to believe about what's going on in that way, because in theory, you do exactly what you're told to do. You have to be responsible of how you're feeling, the way of how you're being wanted, being needed, being who you are. That's the way it goes. And when you are being who it is, whether if you're dating basically, if you are dating a disability person or not, It all depends about what's going on around you. That's the way it goes, right? And that's how it seems to be. Because in theory, based on how I'm trying to describe this situations, you have to pay attention to it, right? That's why it's like you're focusing on what's going on in that way, right? So you could be dealing with another Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. You can deal with another Leo, Aries, Sagittarius. You can deal with another Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. It's water signs, fire signs, water signs, air signs, earth signs. There's a lot of 12 zodiac signs in this lovely reading, and that's basically very interesting indeed. So, this is the way it seems to be, and this is the way it kind of goes, because in one or another you have to do exactly what it takes, and you have to do what exactly how it is. You have to be responsible how you're feeling, how you're acting, how you can do it in one or another, right? So, I'm going to read you now the enchanted map because you want to hear my voice as me to read this, and let's see if this reading fits everything about it. That's how it is. So let me see what's going on here. So let's see what's going on. So it says number 12, slow and steady. Number 12. So that's going to be reversed. So it says, here we go. Reverses is pushing things forward impulsively will not only prevent success but potentially cause more trouble than you are prepared to handle. Moving too quickly will only yield unripe fruit with a better taste. Slow down, breathe, meditate. You're not a human doing, you're a human being. Just be. Everything will work out if you can apply the brakes and become more aware of what's happening in this moment. A calm focus on the now, breathing in the beauty of your surroundings will restore your power to consciously co-create your world. All fruits ripen in their own time. So it means that you want to be doing your own slow and steady, but it means that moving too quickly will only yield unripe fruit with a bitter taste. Like and it says slow down, breathe, meditate. You're not a human doing. You're a human being. Just be. That's how it seems to be. Because everything will work out. You have to know what's going on through your own partner's perspective. If you are dating a disability person, and let's say you're committed to that person, you have to understand about the emotions, the feelings, everything about what they're going through. If a person who has a non-disability, whether if they are being popularity, if they're royal, if they do their whatever, and let's say they're a mini celebrity or not, it basically means that if they're focusing about being mean or rude or disrespectful or playing the blame game or not, then why would you be mean or rude to a disability person? Whether if you are committed to a relationship, whether if you are committed to be in the way of how it goes, you have to understand about how it seems to be, right? You have to know what it takes. You have to be who you are, because if you're being scrutiny, discrimination, taken advantage of, being vulnerable, being bullied, being harassment, um, there's lots of things that are unkind to a disability person, because the way of how this is, the way how relationships go, there is always a silver lining between a long-term and a short-term relationship, you know, because once you're asking someone out, for example, and they said yes, they're committed to you. It doesn't mean that they're going to be going after other people or after others, because it is basically impolite, unimportant, you know, unwanted, unwelcomed, whatever it is, right? Because when you are in a relationship and let's say you don't want to cheat on them or anything like that, then why would you be, discriminated? And, whether if you're dating a disability person or not, why would you do that? Why would you be attacking your own actions instead of words? You know what I mean? You have to pay attention to that. Because if you think that if you're telling the truth and you want to be with them, then why would you, make them feel like harassed or being used or being taken advantage of or being discriminated or whatever it is? Because if they have a disability and you don't, then why would you be mean or being bullied or everything else, Because if you're a woman situation, you pay attention to the guy. The guy would be paying attention to you, only you have to understand about what's going on in that situation. Because this is the way it goes, right? That's why it seems to be. And when you need to understand the way of how it is, that's the way it seems to be. Because you have to pay attention to it. You have to do what it takes. You have to do exactly what you're told to do. Be responsible. Be who you are. Be vigilant and everything else, right? That's why when all disabilities between a woman, a man, a situation like that, and they don't like it, then why would you be nasty to them, It's like, why would you think about, oh, I'm going to reimburse you, but then it's like, I'm not going to reimburse you. I'm going to keep my money for the rest of my whole entire life. That's bullying. That's harassment. That's basically taken advantage of. That's cruelty. Scrutiny. Everything else, right? That's why you have to pay attention. Whether if every single disability person who gives you money or whatever it is, they're doing it as their own way of saying thank you, I love you, or anything like that. But if the woman who doesn't have a disability and she's taking advantage of you, whether if she likes your money, if she likes your body, if she likes everything, then why? The question I'm getting to all my viewers who are out there, whether if you're in a relationship and you're committed to it, and let's say that you're dating a disability person, for example, why would you pick on them? Why would you say all these nasty things to them? That's why you need to do that. Because the way how this is, the way how I'm seeing it, it's a different perspective. You have to go with the flow. You have to do what it takes. You have to do exactly how it seems to be. Be responsible. Because how you like it, if someone else was being mean to you or being bullied or being harassment or whatever it is, right? If you're, acting to be like a movie star, for example, or whether if you're being, non a movie star or whatever it is, or if you're being like a nurse or whatever it is, you have to pay attention on what's happening through your own partner's perspective. You have to pay attention about how they're feeling, how they're acting, how they are doing what it takes. That's how it is. Because when you're in relationships, based on your point of view, you pay attention to it. You're reflecting on how you're feeling. You're reflecting about being who you are and whatever it is. That's why it seems to be that. You have to understand about the way of how it goes in one or another, right? If you're comparing two things, you have to do exactly how it is. The first thing is that you pay attention, whether you like it, whether you feel like them and enjoy them, join the conversations, everything else. Secondly, if you enjoy about complimenting them and you like them, then why are you dating them? That's the question for you all, okay? And the third is that you can't be mean, be rude or anything else like that. It hurts them. It hurts. And if you're being nasty or being rude or whatever it is, it will take on their disability, right? They will feel their own discrimination, and that's how it is, right? So if you're committed to be in a relationship and, you have to pay attention whether you are the way how you're feeling, the way how you're acting, the way you're being sincere. That's why it seems to be that. And when it is that, that's the way how it goes. So before I let you all go, pay attention about this whole entire reading, because it could happen to you, right? So you have to do exactly what you're told to do, because that's the scene to be in that way. You have to do what it takes, and that's how it is, right? That's why it seems to be that in one or another. You have to do exactly what you're told to do, because that's the way it goes, right? You have to understand about the way how you feel, the way how you're acting, the way how you're going to be creative, whatever it is, but you have to understand about how it seems to be. You have to go with the flow. You have to do exactly what's going on, right? Because you have to be who you are to understand that, right? You have to focus. Focus about your own sensitivity. Focus about what you're going to do and how you can be accomplished, because that's how it seems to be. If you're committed in a relationship, you stay with that. You stay that procedure. You do what it takes, but that's how it goes. So I hope you all like this video. Please give a like, please give a comment and enjoy, because that's how it seems to be, and that's how it goes. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day to all, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye for now. Really, thank you, and have a nice day. Thank you, and bye.